This is the Rebel Author Podcast, where we talk about books, business, and occasionally bad words. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Rebel Author Podcast. Today is episode 10. We hit double figures, baby. I am super excited to say that we are in episode 10. When I started the podcast, I had no idea if I was even going to be able to do one episode, let alone 10. So not start the year, because obviously last episode was the first one of the new year. But, to kind of start the new year with double figures is bloody exciting. Okay, let's get on with it. So today I am going to start with a question. In fact, I'm going to start every episode with a question. So in line with the interview today, I want to know whether there's a social media channel or form of marketing that you've always wanted to use or master, but not been able to because either, you've been too afraid or maybe you're too overwhelmed by it, whatever the reason. So you can answer that either in my Facebook group 13 Steps to Evil, or by tweeting me at RebelAuthorPod, or emailing me at RebelAuthor. RebelAuthorPodcast@gmail.com. Let's just move on from that. Okay, so actually I need to answer the question, don't I? Okay, so for me, I love the idea of having a YouTube channel, but I am far too overwhelmed at the prospect of all the editing, all the clipping, working out special effects, and all things like that. And also starting again on a platform from scratch. Just much as I love the idea, I'm just like, no to having to start again, essentially. So yes, I am going to stick to podcasting for now. That said, I do load all of my podcasts onto YouTube. So if you prefer listening on YouTube, feel free to head over and search for Sasha Black, or I will add the link into the show notes. I've been talking about Rebel Author merchandise forever, or at least what feels like forever. However, I am super excited to say that the designs are all done and the store is live. I toyed with using Teespring and also Society6 and a couple of others, but I decided to go with Redbubble because I had good basically recommendations that the quality was quite good, and they are slightly more expensive than some other stores, but because of the quality, I always, if I want to buy merch, then I want it to last me a long time, not just fall apart in the washing and all the printing to peel off. So that's who I've gone with, and there are mugs and journals and jumpers and stickers and all kinds of stuff. So I will put the link in the show notes, and you can brandish yourself as a super defiant rebel like me. Today's book recommendation is You Are a Badass: How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life by Jen Sincero. I read this book last year and absolutely loved it. It's 50% motivation, or, motivation, inspiration, and 50% kick-ass. So I think all of you will appreciate that as much as I do. I have put links in the show notes to that as well. In personal project progress news, wow! Christmas just fucking killed my productivity. I got the square sum of sweet fuck all done over Christmas. I don't know about you guys. In fact, I would love to know what you guys... Hey, we have a second question this week. What did you guys get done? What did you get anything done? Did you get any words done? Because I did not. I am very rapidly discovering that I find it nigh on impossible to get anything done when I have other people in the house. Now, I will caveat that because I can get things done, but they are the things that are less important. It's the busy work. I can do emails and admin, but I can't actually create anything. I need silence. And okay, I'm gonna get a bit hooey and hippie now, but when other people are in the house, the energy is different. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I feel like it's a much more interrupty. That's not what I mean. Just the feeling of the house is different. Whereas when everybody's at work or school, all of a sudden, all of the energy drops. It's very still, it's quiet, it's peaceful. And so then my creative brain will kick in and I am able to get words done. In other personal use, I don't know why I'm going to admit this, but I am ad-libbing and adding this too. I quit sugar. Not for New Year. It isn't a New Year's resolution. I just decided that I was going to do 30 days without sugar because, wow, I was eating a lot of sugar. Like, Christmas did not help. But just generally, since I left my job and I have been doing this full time, need to be a little bit careful with the amount of sugar I'm eating because I sit down a lot. So yeah, I decided to, it just so happened that it coincided with the new year. I'm only doing 30 days, and shout out to Paddy Finn, who is doing this with me. And wow, I have had what date is it today? Okay, I'm recording this on the 5th of January. My headache has still not gone. I've had a thumping fucking headache for 5 very long days. And this morning it was so bad I actually thought I was going to vomit. So yeah, anybody else quitting sugar now in pain with me? Any solidarity or New Year's resolutions? Like, if you are doing New Year's resolutions, just shout them out, tell me, I will give you a shout out. Okay, next. So when my son goes back to school on Tuesday next week, which will be the day before this airs, I will be throwing myself into finishing The Anatomy of Prose. I am going to be pissed if I don't get it done by the end of January. So here's me saying I need to get it done. Fingers crossed I do. Okay, Listener Rebel of the Week. This week, it's Aime Sund. Aime says, my younger brother is almost 4 years my junior. That made him the perfect age for manipulation, and I wasn't that fond of him when we were young. Consequently, we're now the best of friends, and he actually lives upstairs from me. I think that is wicked, as a side note. He was able to walk probably around 2, and we were all in the basement of the house for some forgotten reason, but not in the same room. I took my brother and put him in the dryer. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't laugh. But I'm a terrible person. And I think this is hilarious. Anyway, I took my brother and put him in the dryer. Told him to be quiet. He did everything I told him to for a really long time. And then I shut the door. Oh my God. It took my parents quite a while to find him because I did not tell him where he was, and he made no noise for some time. Oh my God, that poor boy. Aime, that is amazing. Oh my God, I literally have tears from trying to hold in an absolute gut-wrenching belly laugh. But that is so evil. It's brilliant. So well done on being this week's Rebel. Fantastic story. So a little plea from me to all of you guys listening. If you would like to be a Rebel of the Week, in fact, no, don't like to be, just be a Rebel of the Week. Please send me in your stories so that I can read them out. If you would like to, then you can email me at rebelauthorpodcast@gmail.com or tweet me at rebelauthorpod. No new patrons today, but a big thank you to all my current patrons who help to ensure that this podcast continues. And on that note, if you're a patron and you're listening and you haven't received your surprise gift in the post, then please do send me your postal address via Patreon or to my email, sashablack@sashablack.co.uk. If you would like to support the show and get access to all of the bonus essays, posts and content, you can by visiting www.patreon.com/Sasha Black, and that is Sasha with a C, not an S. On with the show.
Hello and welcome back to the Rebel Author podcast. Today I am with Jenna Moreci. Jenna is a Silicon Valley native and YouTube sensation, dominating the AuthorTube community with her straightforward and hilarious writing channel. A lifelong storyteller, Jenna specializes in crafting thrilling adventures with heaping doses of bloodshed and romance. When she's not writing or tubing, Jenna enjoys angry music, potent wine, and laughing until her face hurts with her goofball fiance. Welcome, Jenna.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
No, honestly, the honor is all mine. For anybody who has not heard of Jenna, what are you actually doing with your life? I have been watching Jenna's YouTube videos forever, and she is absolutely hilarious. So I really, really implore you to go and watch her videos. However, do it with headphones and not near small children.
Yes, I agree.
Which is why you're here, because you're a perfect match.
Exactly.
So tell everybody a little bit more about yourself and your writing journey. How did you get from first book idea to where you are now?
Well, in terms of my writing journey, I've wanted to be an author pretty much my entire life. Basically, when I was 6 years old, I was like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. The end. Like, I figured it out. But like a lot of authors, especially, 20 or so years ago, I received a lot of, flack, from family and friends. Everyone said, it's not really a career. You're going to, be destitute. You won't be able to make it into anything. It's just a hobby. Now. Exactly. Well, they were wrong.
Yeah.
But basically, after, a couple of decades of that kind of talk, I was like, okay, fine. I will pursue a quote unquote normal job. And I went to college. I majored in finance. I got a very good, respectable job in finance. And I think like a year or two into that job, I just remember coming home one day and thinking, I hate this so much. And there was this, I knew I hated it, but there was this epiphany of, I don't know if I can do this for the rest of my life. Just spend every day going to a job that I hate and coming home and then having like 12 million glasses of wine. That's an exaggeration. but just like, I need to get rid of the feeling of being there. And I just thought to myself, you know what? I don't think that I can do this, especially when there are other things that I'm good at and passionate about that I would rather be spending my time doing. And I knew, that writing was a long shot, but I figured, you know what? I'm an adult. I'm just going to give it a shot. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least I can say I tried. So I started writing my first novel, Eve the Awakening, while I was off of work. So I would go to work, come home, start writing. And I did that for several years. And again, a lot of people were like, oh, that's cute, Jenna. That's special. Isn't that sweet? She's got hopes and dreams. They were very condescending, very, embarrassed for me, I would say. A lot of people were embarrassed on my behalf. Like, you think that I told them I became a drug mule. They were just like, oh my gosh, Jenna, you can't tell people this. It was not a proud moment for a lot of people. But I just kept trucking along, and I figured I'm just going to try. And the more I learned about the publishing industry, the more I realized a lot had changed since I was a kid. Indie publishing, self-publishing was now a thing, and it had become exactly. It had become a lot more possible to make it. So I was like, okay, I'm on the right path. I'm just gonna keep at it. Then we had a little bit of a wrench in the thrown in the situation. My fiance suffered a major accident and broke his spine, and I had to quit my job, my respectable job in finance, and stop writing for a while so I could sign on to be his caregiver. And while I was going through that, when someone very close to you, almost dies, and when you're put into that kind of situation, it sort of changes your outlook on life, and it kind of reminds you that we could die at any moment. We don't have a lot of time on this earth, so I got to make use of the time that I have now. It made me less risk averse. So once he was well enough where I could start writing again and start working on my platform again, I started my YouTube channel just to give it a shot. I had no expectations. My goal was 100 subscribers. And then
Did you manage that?
Yeah, I know it's shocking, but it's true. And then when I hit 100, I was like, I'm going to be very audacious and overzealous and go for 1,000. Like that to me was just like the pinnacle of, YouTube success. But long story, a little bit less long, the channel took off. And by the time I released my first book, I was able to make YouTube and writing my full-time job, which I had never seen being a possibility. My best case scenario was it would be a lucrative part-time gig. But the channel did really, really well. My first book did really well. My second book did even better. And now I am actually making almost double what I made at that respectable finance job that everyone was so proud of me for. So now, I guess I am living proof that you can definitely make writing a career and not be destitute. So
yeah, it's all of the fuck yeahs right now because, it's such a story of empowerment and also of persistence and just not giving up. And so many writers, when the going gets tough, lots of writers don't even finish their book, let alone continue in the face of adversity, and loved ones, giving them the patronizing opinions and I can't think of the words, but that kind of skepticism. And actually, if you just continue, you can get there.
Exactly. And now, it's totally, everyone's changed their tune. All the quote unquote friends that I had back then suddenly popping back up. Oh my gosh, Jenna, look at you, girlfriend, and they're like, hey, we should go out and, get brunch. And it's like, no, I don't think so. Yeah. No, thanks.
Yeah.
Bye. And my family, they were, the first, once my first novel came out and performed well, they were the first to be like, wow, you totally proved us wrong. Like, we're really, really proud of you. And now it went from being like, oh my gosh, Jenna, like, don't tell people you're writing a book, to my daughter's writing a book. You should buy it. Here it is. Like, they've become my little, fan club. And it's really, really sweet. And, I appreciate it. I honestly never thought that day would come. And a lot of people ask me, they're like, what do you do if your family doesn't support you? And I'm like, you're not writing the book for them. You're writing it for you. So if your family doesn't support you, that sucks. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. You just do the thing because it's not for them. It's not about them. It's about you. So just say, I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Dad. The politest fuck you for now. And then just continue writing your book, and that's kind of how I looked at it. I didn't say fuck you to my parents. I love my parents, but the way I looked at it was, I'm sorry, but I'm an adult and this is the decision I'm making. And if you don't like it, that's something you can deal with.
I hope that there are some people listening who hear the message that you don't have to get to a pain point in order to make this decision, because obviously you had very horrible life circumstance happen, which although you'd already made the decision to start writing, it obviously tipped you over the edge into another level of determination. And for me, I think I'd gone probably 6 or 8 weeks of crying every single day at work. And my real low point was I was in a tree, basically having a nervous breakdown when it was raining, crying. So like most of the authors that I know that got to the point where they then decided to leave, got to this pain point. But if there's somebody listening who's in pain, just fucking quit. Just quit, just do it, because you will find a way to make the money.
Exactly.
So YouTube is an odd one for an author. So not every author is an introvert, but obviously lots of authors are introverts. So why YouTube, which is such an extroverted social media platform?
Yeah, I'm definitely an introvert. And the funny thing was that for years before I started my channel, people had been telling me, like lots of people, it had become a thing, had been telling me, you should do YouTube. You have the personality for it. And I'm like, that's funny because I'm an introvert who hates people and hates talking to people. It's very weird that you think I have the personality for this. But they were like, well, you're funny and you're blunt and you're sarcastic. And this was during the time when like Shane Dawson was really big and Jenna Marbles, and they're like, you're just as funny as them. You should do YouTube. And so I just said, no, I'm not going to do it. For obvious reasons. That is terrifying. But then what had happened was while I was trying to promote my first book, I created a blog like so many authors do. And it was doing okay. I had like 200 loyal followers, but I had 200 loyal followers for over a year. And nothing was growing. I wasn't reaching a new audience. And on top of that, I really fucking hate blogging. It is just not for me. I love to write fiction and stories. I don't like to blog about like real world shit or my writing journey. This just wasn't interesting to me at all. I have no problem talking about, my writing journey, but, writing it and proofreading it for me is dull. So around the time that Cliff broke his spine, I had to quit blogging as well. And obviously this was a horrible time in my life, but at the same time, I did not miss blogging. I'll just put it that way. I was like, oh, okay, this was a convenient quote unquote, way to not have to blog anymore. And when it came time to start my platform up again, I was just dreading going back into blogging. I was like, I really don't want to do this. And so all those voices in the back of my head about how you'd be so good at YouTube, they were just kind of shouting at me. And that's when I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to try it out. It'll probably fail. And at least I can say I tried because my time on this planet is short. So I tried YouTube. At the time, I could only find like 4 other YouTubers on YouTube who were talking about writing. And they all had like 1,000 to 6,000 subscribers. So like a small amount, but more than I ever dreamed that I could achieve. So I was like, okay, well, there's not a lot of writers on here. I wonder why. That's shocking news. Like no one wants to be here because we're all introverts, but I was terrified and I just gave it a shot because people said that I'd be good at it. And it ended up exploding beyond all of my comprehension. Now I'm at 186,000 subscribers. I still can't get over it. But that was my journey to go into YouTube. For why I would recommend it to other people if they're, suited for it, if they're comfortable. You're never going to be comfortable with it at first, just throwing that out there. So if you think you can become comfortable with it, the great thing about YouTube is that it's not oversaturated like blogs and author websites and like those blog swaps and things like that, mailing lists, all those things. Every single author has one, and it makes it a lot harder to stand out. With YouTube, I can only think of maybe at this point, like 30 or so writers on YouTube who are regularly talking about writing. It's a much smaller community. And so it's a lot easier to stand out and get attention that way. So if it is something that you think you have, the balls to go for, it'll be a lot easier for you to stand out as opposed to blogging or something like that.
This is a completely tangential question, but so I know you said you hated blogging, but so you must script your videos,
yes,
right? Okay, so you must have a metric fuckload of scripts. Why would you not turn them into a nonfiction book?
It's funny because the way I write my scripts, I write my scripts the way I talk.
Yeah.
So they're all grammatically incorrect and they're all filled with fucks and shits and
so am I books.
Yeah. But this is like on another level. So for me, it's just as it it is. It's so much easier to write a script than it is to write a blog post, because you have to clean it and make sure you trim it down and things like that. Whereas when I write a script, it can be rough and messy, and then I go to film my video and I can kind of decide what I want to say and what I don't want to say while I film. So it eliminates the whole need of the editing and the polishing and the part of writing blogs that I hated. I didn't mind creating the content. It was trying to make it all pretty and perfect afterward. And so the thought of transitioning that into a nonfiction book, it is something that's on my mind, something that's kind of like, okay, for the future, but it's just not something that I have any interest in doing right now, because just the thought of having to comb through something that's already not particularly engaging for me, like again and again, oh my gosh, I would need a lot of wine for that.
I completely understand. Excuse me. We all have the things that we don't want to do, and so no, I definitely understand that. It is definitely one to think about though, because nonfiction is a fantastic perennial seller. So yeah, just
it totally is. That's why it's on my radar. But it's also kind of like I've got so many projects going on right now. It's like it's on my radar in the distance. Distant future when things calm down.
At never.
No, I'll get to it one day.
So you've talked about the fact that YouTube isn't saturated at the moment, but is YouTube a good platform for authors to find readers? And what does it really take to create, a viable platform as an author?
I'll start with the first question. I definitely think it's a good platform to find readers. I think I forgot the exact number, but something like well over 80% of my readers come from my channel. So clearly they're there. They're on YouTube, and the thing is that YouTube appeals to anyone. It appeals to most, if not all, age categories. And a lot of people read. So there are going to be people on YouTube who are just dicking around trying to find something entertaining to watch or something to learn, who are going to be a reader, and they're going to be potentially interested in your book. So I definitely think it's a good way to reach readers, especially if you're talking about something that's reading related. My channel is all writing advice. I give writing advice. I make fun of tropes I don't like. I talk about my favorite tropes. And so most of the people who watch my channel are writers. Most writers are readers. And then the subcategory of people who watch my channel who aren't writers are readers. So that's where my whole audience is all about books. So it is a really great way to meet readers. In terms of what goes into a channel, I think the number one piece of advice I give to people is to be genuine and authentic to yourself, because that is, to me, the most obvious thing to do. But at the same time, it's the thing that most people don't do. They think they have to put on a mask or a particular personality or emulate someone else in order to be popular. You'll see a lot of people who will join a community and try to duplicate whoever's popular in that community. People can see that immediately, and then they don't like you because you seem like a phony. So be genuine to yourself. If you're an awkward person, lots of writers are awkward. So that could be cute. That could be your shtick, like you don't want to put on a front that isn't who you are, because people are going to be able to tell and they're not going to like it. I would also
just to come in on that point, I think that's even more true of audio and visual formats, because when you are on screen or people are listening to your voice, you cannot hide who you are. Right. Because it's just obvious. It's a deeper connection than just words on a page. So yeah, I completely agree.
Exactly. Another thing I would say is be sure to edit your footage, because that's one of the big determinators of whether or not people will continue to watch your channel. Is if someone has videos of them where there's lots of lulls and lots of them clearing their throat, or lots of so anyway, yeah, I'm really nervous, sorry, like cut that crap out. One, because they don't have time. They're on YouTube because they want some instant gratification. And two, because it's uncomfortable to watch. And if anything, it'll give them like secondhand embarrassment for you. Like, oh, they look so nervous. And, you know, like trim the stuff, make it more compact so it's easier to watch. It gets to the point and it's more entertaining that way. Okay. I had one more point. Editing. Oh, sound quality. Make sure you have good sound quality. You could get away with a lot of, I guess, amateur practices on YouTube, so long as the sound quality is good. So I would say be genuine, have good sound quality, edit your content, and make sure that you are providing something that people actually want. There are a lot of people who will start their YouTube channel and their first video is an introduction to me and hi, this is me, this is what I'm about, my favorite color is green, and it's like no one knows who you are. No one is going to be like, who's this stranger on the internet? I want to know more about her. You know, like provide something that people are interested in. For me, it was writing advice, something that you feel you could give an interesting and new outlook on. And as your audience grows and as you provide more content for them, they will become interested in you and they will become interested in what you have to offer. And that's the point when you say, okay, here's a video about me. I'm awesome. And here's why. Here are my books. But first you gotta appeal to what they want and their needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. I'll have to edit that one out. So how can you use YouTube then to market your books?
Oh, sorry. I thought there was going to be more.
Yeah, I did look like I was going to do that for listeners.
Like,
I was looking for
YouTube for me is my primary source of marketing for my books. And it's awesome because not only is it free marketing, it's marketing I'm getting paid for because I get, you know, ads on my videos. So I'm essentially getting paid to make a video about like, here's my book, The Saviours Champion. Here's why you should buy it. But like I said, I started off my channel giving writing advice, you know, appealing to what my audience is looking for. And then as things rolled on and my audience grew and they asked more questions about me and what I'm working on, that's when I could make videos where I talk about, you know, this is my upcoming release and this is what it's about. And this is my favorite characters. And so I've been able to make a ton of videos. I've made, you know, the book trailer for The Saviours Champion. I had videos where I introduced, oh, thank you. I had videos where I introduced all the characters. I described there's, you know, a gladiatorial tournament and The Saviours Champion, and I described the tournament and the rules of the tournament and stuff like that. And it got people super hyped and amped for the release. And at the same time, it's like I'm getting ads on these videos and I'm getting paid to market my books. So and then of course, at the end of every single video, I remind people The Saviours Champion is available in ebook, paperback, hardback, signed hardback, as well as audiobook. And I give everyone the links at the bottom or in the description of the videos. So for me, it's basically not only am I appealing to my audience and, you know, providing a service, I'm also, you know, easily marketing my work alongside of it. And that's pretty much the reason that I'm able to do what I love for a living, is because I have this constant stream of marketing going.
I mean, it is literally a win-win on YouTube in terms of marketing in your books. You're proper laughing. That is fantastic. Yeah, maybe I should do a YouTube channel.
You'd be great at it.
Oh, stop. I know we've talked a little bit before about this, but I think it's a really important question. And I think it's one that lots of indies coming into the industry don't necessarily think about from the start. They kind of just want to get their book out and don't really think about the writing as a business. So I'll get to the point. Multiple streams of income are essential for authors. So how can you use YouTube to create multiple streams of income, or what are the different types of income streams that you can get from YouTube?
Well, first and foremost, obviously releasing a book. That'll be your first stream of income. I recommend, depending on your genre and depending on your reach, having as many versions of the book as possible: ebook, hardback, paperback, audiobook. Diversify those streams if you can and if it makes sense for the genre. In terms of YouTube, the first and most obvious one is Adsense. Having ads on your videos. Once you are at a level where your videos can be monetized, that's just kind of an obvious, easy stream of income right there because you're getting paid to release your videos. It's not as much as I think a lot of people assume. A lot of people assume that all YouTubers are like multimillionaires, and I mean there definitely are some, but it's probably not going to be as much as a lot of people are predicting. So that's something to keep in mind, which brings me to my next point: sponsorships. You can get a company to sponsor your video, where basically for a minute at the beginning of the video, you're sort of providing a brief commercial for them. You're just saying, hey, this video was sponsored by XYZ. This is what the company's about. I really like them and this is why. And they're offering a discount for you guys. That's usually how it goes. Sponsorships, in my opinion, or at least from my experience, are typically more higher income stream than the ads on the videos, which is why they're very desirable to have. However, be aware that you don't become one of those people who's just snapping up every sponsor you can get, because once you become like that, where it's just you will take any sponsorship they throw your way, your audience is going to know it and they're not going to appreciate it. For example, with me, I receive at least one sponsorship offer a day. Like they come in constantly. And a lot of them have absolutely nothing to do with my platform. I've gotten sponsorship opportunities for like perfume and dog food. And I got one for vagina vitamins.
No way.
Yeah, I mean,
that's made my week.
I was just mad that they didn't call them vagitamins. Like that felt like a missed opportunity.
See, this right here is why you need to watch Jenna's YouTube channel.
But yeah, like I'm just looking at it. I actually got that one a lot, but I just kept looking at it like, what does this have to do with writing? Like this is not applicable to my platform at all. So I'll only accept sponsorships. My personal criteria is I'll only accept sponsorships if I use the product personally, I like the product personally, and I think it'll benefit my audience. Because there are some companies that have talked to me that I actually like what they're selling, but it has nothing to do with what my audience is interested in. So I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I have to decline. So that would be my advice: is once you get to a level where you can have sponsors, be picky, because you don't want to make this money and as a result you lose your following because they're now seeing you as greedy.
And I think that advice is applicable to affiliate marketing as well. So I definitely do affiliate marketing. There are certain, but I apply that exact same criteria. So if I have taken a course, for example, and I have loved it and implemented everything that I've learned, why the hell wouldn't I promote it, you know?
Exactly.
So, and the thing is, I would promote that regardless of whether or not I was being paid as an affiliate. And that's kind of the way that I look at it. Would I promote this still, even if I wasn't, you know, gonna get an affiliate payout? If the answer is yes, well then I'll promote it, and I'll also be an affiliate, obviously.
Exactly. And some people, no matter what, they'll just say you're greedy if you take any sponsor or affiliate, even if it's the situation you described. But the fact is a lot of the sponsors who have contacted me, or actually all the sponsors that have sponsored me, these are companies that I would promote anyway. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to pay me to do the thing that I was going to do anyway,
yeah,
I think literally every person would be like, okay. There was literally one, I'm not going to say who, because what if you watch this? Well, no, but it's a good thing. But there was one company that I was literally already scripting a video about that topic, and I was going to name drop the company. Like, this is a company that I use for this particular situation. And they emailed me literally like the week I was scripting that video, and they were like, we would like to sponsor a video. And I'm like, well, have I got a pitch for you? How about we do this video topic? Like, I'm literally already making the video, but I mean, it just works out perfectly. And then you get paid to promote a company that you already really like and we're going to do anyway. But I was actually going to mention affiliates. It's the same deal. If you're on YouTube, you will make more money from a sponsor than an affiliate. However, both options are totally worthwhile and worth looking into if you are a writer on YouTube. Another stream of income that's a lot easier. This is another thing you can do whether you're on YouTube or not, but it's much easier on YouTube, and that's merch. If you've got t-shirts, phone cases, laptop cases, mugs, those are big sellers. The reason it's easier on YouTube is because YouTube recently, well, maybe not that recent, but within the last year, I think, they released the YouTube merch shelf, which basically beneath all your videos, there will be a line featuring all of your merch that's available. And so people will watch your video, scroll down a little bit, and now they see that you have mugs and t-shirts and things like that. And they can click directly on the line of merch, and it will take them to your merch store. So it makes it a lot easier to sell merch if you have that capability. And then that's an additional line of income.
Yeah, and I, excuse me, I am suffering. I'm a little bit under the weather for everybody listening. That's why I'm coughing and sniffing.
No worries.
I love merch because it's an area that writers don't capitalize on. And, if you don't want to do all the setup yourself, even though it's really easy and there are companies and websites where you can import your own designs and create your own merch, and you can sell those rights if you are a self-published author, because you own the rights. This is the amazing and wonderful world of being an indie author. You can slice up your book pie. You could sell gaming rights or t-shirt rights or whatever, and over and over again if you limit the license as well. So definitely something to think about.
And also, like you had mentioned, it is really easy to set it up yourself. I created my merch store in one day. Like, I just carved out an afternoon and created the merch store. In terms of making the designs, I do have a bit of design background, so that made it a little bit easier. However, I know plenty of people who hire designers on Fiverr. You have lots of avenues that you can choose from. And so it's one of those things where a lot of people think it sounds like too good to be true and overwhelming, or like, oh, that's only something that the big, creators do. But it's a lot easier to handle than I think a lot of people assume.
Yeah, and also, if you ever want to do in-person things, say you go to a con or a festival or if for me it would be young adult literature conference, you can then bulk order your own products and have your merch on your stalls, which bumps up your stall. It makes everything look pretty. Why would you not do that? Right.
Exactly.
Note to self.
No, exactly. That's totally how it is, especially for in-person events. People are just going to snatch that stuff up. It's right there. It's very enticing and it's so cute and pretty. Everyone loves good bookish merch.
Exactly. Also, so we forgot one. Patreon. So you have a Patreon. You have an amazing Patreon. So talk to me about how you ended up with Patreon, and how you've grown it, and how you use that to interact and with your YouTube. Just tell me everything about Patreon.
I think Patreon is a really, really great option for writers. There are a ton of writers on Patreon. It becomes, again, easier if you're a YouTuber because you're a lot more visible, and it usually you can create rewards that are YouTube related, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Basically, I'm sure everyone's already aware, but just in case, Patreon is a platform where creators like artists, writers, content creators, etc., can create a little platform where they accept donations from their fans. They accept, cash usually on a monthly basis from their fans, and in return, those fans receive some kind of reward or prize as a thank you. I didn't have an interest in setting up a Patreon account at first first because one, I assumed, oh, no one wants to be my patron. Like I thought I was too small. And two, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, it feels a little uncomfortable putting up a page to be like, give me money, you know, like it felt a little weird. And what tipped me over the edge to trying it was that I started receiving messages from people saying, where's your Patreon page? I want to become a patron. And I was like, really? Like for me? Wow. You know, like it was unexpected. And I didn't realize that a lot of people, like it's not a pressure thing. No one is forced to become a patron. People set up these pages because they're fans or readers or subscribers. They want to help. They want access to the rewards. So I created a Patreon page. Right now, I change them every once in a while, but usually not dramatically. Right now, there's a $1, $5, $10, $20, and $50 tier. And sometimes people get overwhelmed in terms of how to set those up. What I've learned is to just look at other Patreon pages, especially people who have a similar platform to you. So for me, I would look at writers and YouTubers, especially popular ones who are known for being, you know, ethical and things like that. Look at what they're doing, and it gives you an idea of what your audience would expect. For my $1 tier, I have a exclusive access to a private Discord writing group called Saviours Central, and that is the main reason people become patrons. It's $1 a month to join a private writing group. It's very I'm trying to think of the word. We have lots of moderators and things like that. So I, at least from my experience, I've joined a lot of writing groups where you go in there and you're like, yikes, everyone's an asshole, I'm out, you know, it's uncomfortable. But we've got moderators in this group, and it's kind of like a big happy family, and people get along really, really well, and people are super supportive, and it's just really, really fun to be a part of it. And we've got writers at all levels in the group. So there are people who are writing fan fiction. There are people who are writing their very first book. There are people who are multi-published. There are bestsellers. You know, we've got a ton of people in the group. So you've got a wealth of knowledge and different experiences and things like that. So that's the biggest draw people have to becoming my patron. There's also like the $5 tier, you get early access to my videos. For the $10 tier, you can request video topics and I'll dedicate a video to you, things like that. $20 tier is the monthly live stream where we'll chat face to face, you know, via the computer, and I'll answer everyone's questions. But yeah, it's actually been so much fun for me. I thought, like I said, I was uncomfortable with it at first, but I actually really, really enjoy it. And you get to tell your patrons what you're using the funds towards. Some writers say, hey, this pays my bills. This is going to pay the mortgage. That's why I have a Patreon. For me, all of my Patreon funds get reinvested into my platform. So, and I'll ask my patrons what they want out of my platform. So I asked them what they were interested in coming up when the Saviours Champion was releasing, and they said they wanted character art. So I got character art. And I was able to upgrade my platform, get new lighting equipment, get a new backdrop, get a new camera, get a new microphone, everything because of my patrons. And they're totally aware of where the money goes to, and it's just a very transparent relationship. And I definitely recommend setting one up, but be ethical about it.
No, absolutely. And I think the magical thing about Patreon is that one of an author's, I guess, dreams is to be able to connect with their readers, and that this is the prime opportunity for you to be able to do that. And you can give, you know, the people who want more from you more, you know. Exactly. It is literally I love it. And speaking of which, if you would like to get early access to the Rebel Author podcast, then you can do so by visiting www.patreon.com/Sasha Black. That is Sasha with
yes.
Yeah, great segue there. So let's say somebody wants to set up a brand spanking new author tube platform. What kit and equipment would they really, what basic stuff would they need to be able to start their channel?
Well, I started my channel with natural lighting and my FaceTime camera, and I did pretty well. So a lot of people, they start their channel and they go all out. They just get all the expensive lighting equipment. They get a diva ring. They get just everything expensive backdrop. And then their channel doesn't do well, and they've been doing it for years and they still only have, 100 subscribers. And they realize I just spent a lot of money on something that didn't end up working for me. So I don't personally recommend that. Other people will say differently, but I'm aware that a lot of writers are on a budget. So don't spend the money if you don't have to spend it yet. I think the most important things to have are, one, editing software. You cannot just put together a YouTube video and then throw it on the internet. You have to be able to edit it. You need to be able to add, cut the clips and cut out all the crappy stuff. You need to be able to add sound effects and things like that. This will increase your watch time by a lot. So get editing software. A lot of times you can get it for free. iMovie just came on my MacBook Pro. Like, it was already there and totally free to use. So that shouldn't be a big expense. You don't need to get something like Final Cut Pro right at the beginning, which is more expensive, obviously. That's something where once you've seen that the juice is worth the squeeze, then you can start shelling out the money. The other thing that I would recommend is a microphone. Just get a good microphone so you have good sound quality, because that is the one thing that subscribers are not going to forgive. They will forgive if your lighting sucks. They will forgive if your camera quality isn't that great. They will not forgive if your voice is annoying to listen to. They're not going to be able to tolerate the video and they're going to click out. So get a good microphone, and that's pretty much what I would recommend for the basics. You can film on your phone, you can film on your laptop. You don't need to get the camera. Park yourself in front of a window with good lighting and use that at the start. Once you get further along and it's proving fruitful to your endeavors, you can invest in a low cost diva ring light. And then once you get to a much bigger position, that's when you can probably get a nicer camera or additional lights. I've got 3 lights in front of me, 1 behind me. It's just a big light collection. But I didn't even look into that until I was past 100,000 subscribers.
Number one, I absolutely love that you call it a diva ring.
Oh yeah, that's one of the brands. So that's how I just know it. Yeah, a diva ring. I think it's because of beauty influencers. It's very popular for beauty influencers. But yeah, they're one of the brands is called Diva Ring, and I always remember that before ring light.
Yeah. The other thing to say is that iMovie Maker is not hard to learn to use. If I managed to teach myself to edit some film videos using, ironically, YouTube tutorials, anybody can do that. But so don't think that you have to invest in a really complicated, expensive course to teach yourself how to edit. Just go to YouTube and find the free videos, because I found a plethora of things on there which helped me to edit. Very basic, but still.
iMovie is super easy to use. I was able to teach it to myself, at least the basics of it, without even checking the YouTube tutorials yet, though I did that later for the sound effects and things like that. But for just like trimming and clipping video content, I just dicked around with it and figured it out in like 15 minutes. And it's like, oh, okay. So it's really, really easy. You don't need to, like you said, you don't need to invest in Final Cut Pro until you're at a position where you need the bells and whistles.
So the other thing that I thought was interesting kind of leads into the next question, where you spoke about having good quality audio. I completely agree. But I think the interesting thing is, and I don't know if you can do this on YouTube, but I know that you definitely can on audiobooks and podcasting. But I certainly listen to all of my podcasts and audiobooks on double speed. So the voice no longer makes a difference to me, because I'm just trying to absorb the content. I don't know if you can watch YouTube on double speed, but I think it's an interesting behavioral change that's happening. And it means that the things that you might have been concentrating on, like, for example, getting the top quality audio, is for me as a consumer, less important than what you're saying and the information that I'm gaining for it. But I'll get to the point. I would love to know what you think is going to happen for the future of YouTube with things like artificial intelligence and the voices being able to, create, they can replicate your voice with VR. Where do you think it's going to go?
I just want to say that my fiance loves you for this question. He's a total tech nerd, and he is obsessed with AI and VR. And just when he saw that this was going to be in the interview, he was like, "Oh, yay!" Like, he was so excited. But yeah, I think it's only like a lot of people when approached with this topic, they kind of like brush it off like, oh, whatever. It's, that's days away. But the fact is that this happens all the time. YouTube completely disrupted media and entertainment and learning. I mean, there are people alive who don't remember a time before YouTube. I remember a time before YouTube. And I know that I saw the transition.
I feel so old.
It's okay, we're in it together. But yeah, I saw the transition, and it totally changed the game. I mean, now there are people on TV who have to make sure their programs are also on YouTube, or else they're not going to get, the rate of, activity that they once did. I don't know. AI is like one of the realms of thought that is a little like scary to me.
Yeah.
So I haven't.
Anyone see The Matrix?
Right, exactly. Like, I don't know. But I know with VR especially, I think that's going to have a big impact on YouTube, especially in specific niche markets, especially with entertainment. And I think with learning channels, like my channel is kind of half learning, half entertainment. I think it'll make things a lot more hands-on, literally, and a lot more accessible. And so I'm kind of excited about that. At the same time, there's a part of me that's like, this will be something new I have to learn. I've learned so much, but it's kind of it'll be interesting to see how things change.
Okay, this is my favorite question. This is the Rebel Author podcast. So and I think you've already told me many, many times already on this show, but tell me about a time you unleashed your inner rebel.
Well, I think kind of my entire becoming a writer experience and starting my YouTube platform was rebellious. I feel like the whole path toward it was rebellious because the only person in my life who supported that decision was Cliff. Cliff was like, "You're a very talented writer. You have, a funny, upbeat personality. We both have a background in business. We can make this work." Whereas everyone else around me was like, continue down the expected path, the straight and narrow, all that, be the good girl working in finance. And I didn't have support from anyone except Cliff, which was the most important. But yeah, I just did it anyway because it's what I wanted, and the way I saw it was, well, it's my life, and I'm going to be the one lying on my deathbed with regrets, not you. You're, mom, dad, all my friends, they're not going to have any regrets if I don't pursue this. This is about me. This is not their problem. So I feel like the entire purpose of setting up my platform was rebellious in that way, and also my platform itself is a little rebellious. People sometimes get offended because I am a woman who has opinions, and I'm not shy about it, and I enjoy some colorful language, and I like writing that way too. I like writing. A lot of people expect women to write certain kinds of books, and I write what I want to write. And I like violence. I like action. I love me some good romance. And I like sprinkle in some colorful language amid it all. So I feel like my whole writer journey has been rebellious to a certain degree. That said, it's funny because people assume that I'm like a natural rebel in real life, but I'm such a square. I have no interesting like younger day stories where it's like, oh yeah, we did this and it was crazy. I like never got invited to parties. I was, the nerd who graduated high school with a 4.35 GPA. Like I was just not I'm not rebellious in that way, but I'll make rebellious business decisions. How about that?
Also, I'm totally with you on the people being offended. I've genuinely had 1-star reviews because my writing books are filled with naughty swear words. And I'm like, well, you know what? You can take your 1-star review and
shove it up your ass.
Yeah, basically. Pretty much. Yeah. Also, though, that's fine. That's great. You are just not one of my readers. You know, I'm cool with that. You know, it's fine.
What's funny to me is when people are like, oh my gosh, Jenna's books have swear words. And it's like, have you seen one of my videos?
Yeah.
This is toned down. Like, I go through my books and I literally will like look for the fucks. And I will be like, do I need this fuck? And if it stays, it's because I felt like I needed that fuck. Yeah. So I don't do that with my videos, but I do that with my books. So it's like, this is the toned down Jenna. You watch my videos, you see that I make dick jokes aplenty, and you thought my book wouldn't be the same? Like, that sounds like a personal problem.
And that right there is the reason I'm moving into adult fantasy.
Oh, are you? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because it's just all the swear words and the you know, sex and violence and all of the, you know, meaty issues. I just can't be dealing with non.
Oh my gosh, you just got me so excited. Look at heart is racing. Adult fantasy is my favorite, so I'm like,
yeah. Okay, tell everyone where they can find out more about you, your books, and where to find your YouTube channel.
Well, my channel is probably the easiest to find. It's youtube.com/Jenna Moreci, or you can search for Writing with Jenna Moreci on YouTube. I'm pretty much under the name Jenna Moreci everywhere, so you can find my website at jennamoreci.com. I'm on Twitter as Jenna Moreci, Instagram as Jenna Moreci, and that's Moreci. It's a weird one, I know. And you can find my books pretty much all over the place. The Saviours Champion is available on Amazon. It's at Barnes & Noble. I mean, I've even seen it at Target and Walmart. It's crazy. You can find it anywhere. And I also have signed copies available on my website that you can purchase. And we have the audiobook out. If you are new to Audible, you can listen to The Saviours Champion for free, which is awesome. I love that. So yeah, you can't avoid it. Get the book.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much to all the patrons supporting the show. Thank you very much to listeners. And thank you very much to Jenna. I'm Sasha Black. You were listening to Jenna Moreci, and this was the Rebel Author Podcast.
Next week, I'll be talking to Zach Bohannon all about money and finances for authors. It's a controversial topic, but one that I think needs addressing in the community. There are a lot of authors who want to quit their jobs, and unfortunately, debt or finances get in the way. I was one of those authors, and it's the reason why I am so fascinated by this topic, and it may end up being a book in the future, I'm not sure. I am very, very excited for next week's episode because it's one of the episodes I am most proud of. I can't wait to share it all with you. Don't forget to tune in and subscribe on your podcatcher. And when you have a moment, please leave a review.